telling me that he was making payments on it. And by the time I actually opened up my own gas bill, it was already over $500.
Mm, mm, mm.
Same thing with my electric. He was running up my electric
It
as
ain't
well.
running up the
But
goddamn.
my electric
Goddamn.
was in my aunt's name, and she was the one not making the payments. So we were paying her, and then she didn't make the payments. The electric got shut off. I was able to get it put in my name because my mom put utilities in my name when I was a kid and never paid them. So when I became an adult, I was already in debt. So after I found out that after several years, half of your bill will fall off, like they literally forgive you. So by the time I was actually able to put an electric bill in my name, I only had to pay $210 to get it turned back on. Sean ended up running up that electric bill, not helping me, and just he turned around and he after my electric got shut off, he went and turned it on illegally, and I told him not to because they would just come back out 2 days later and shut it right back off, and then I'd get red tagged and I'd get a $1,500 tampering fee. So I told him don't touch it, but he turned it on anyway. And just like I said, they were right back out there 2 days later to turn me off. So I now owe $3,000 electric bill that I will never be able to pay.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up having to leave East 50th because I did not have gas, I did not have electric, and I made a mistake and slept with my ex-boyfriend, not knowing that he had a girlfriend. After we slept together, I was sleeping with him for a while, and a few months later found out he had a girlfriend. And instead of leaving because I was in love with him, I've known him since I was 7 years old. He will still to this day has a place in my heart. He lives only a few streets away from me, but I don't even speak to him anymore. He did that, and I told her the truth about it, and she started coming to my house. There's videos of the fight on Facebook where she came to my house and I beat her with a baseball bat because my children were in the house. And
I missed that, Claudette. I missed that.
I'll send you that video later if I can find the video. But yeah, I ended up leaving because of that, and I left and I went to Amherst first with a guy who I had known since I was a kid, and we had never dated, but I always had a crush on Matt, and he had a crush on me, and he, that was God, stupid. Don't date people that you knew from your childhood thinking that they're Prince Charming to you because they ain't no fucking better.
Right.
Matt told me come stay out there with him in Amherst, and things would be okay. He'll help me get a job and let me, help me start over with kids. And social services was harassing me at that point. So I'm like, safe place out of Cleveland, away from all the bullshit. There's gas, there's electric. My kids will have a roof over their head. Let's go. So I left. I went out there with Matt. Little did I know, I was not moving in with Matt. I was moving in with a guy named Chris. Chris was an alcoholic who his parents had died and left him a ton of money and a double-wide trailer with 3 bedrooms. He could not see his son because of his alcoholism and other issues. Come to find out, he's a fucking creep. Matt was staying with his friend down the road in the trailer park. I'm staying with Chris. Chris was letting me use his car and everything because he understood my situation. And he just said that if I could take him to his weekend jail at the hotel because he got in trouble for drunk driving, so he signed up for weekend jail where they literally held him for a whole weekend and wouldn't let him out.
Okay.
He said I could use his car and go to Cleveland. So I did. I went to Cleveland and grabbed some of my stuff out of my now abandoned house, which my things are still in that house. My aunt and uncle will not let me get them out. But Chris let me use his car and go to Cleveland. I was gone for longer than he would like. His neighbors had messaged him and told him that his car was gone. He did not approve for me to be in Cleveland overnight, which I had took his car and went overnight.
Okay.
We never talked about it. I just kind of did it. So I know I was kind of wrong. I should have said, hey, I want to go and stay overnight. I let Chase see his dad. So I stayed at Sean's house with
Okay.
Chase that night, and I let him see his father. When I went back to Amherst, I was cussed out by Chris. Warranted. It was warranted. I took it. I apologized. I was wrong. Matt had to work, so he wasn't there. When he got off work, he decided to go drinking with his friends and then went somewhere with his mom. So I'm like sitting in the living room texting Matt, trying to get him to come be with your girlfriend. And I'm talking to drunk Chris. Mind you, I'm sitting on the floor with my kids, sitting in front of Chris's TV, like, just chill. And Chris starts asking me, why am I dating Matt? And I'm like, you know what, Chris? Starting to ask myself the same question. Why did I move to Amherst to be with Matt, and Matt ain't here with me? You're absolutely right. I will say I did absolutely have fun having sex in that jacuzzi, though. That was great. But I proceeded to tell Matt that if he didn't come, I was done. And during that process, Chris is still asking me questions about me and Matt. And I'm like, Chris, what are you getting at? Like, and he turned and he looked at me and he said, what would you do if I told you you had to have sex with me in order to stay here? I said, say less, I'll have my things packed in an hour and I'll be gone.
Right.
And I texted Chase's father one phrase. Why is the sky blue? He texted me back, said, address, please. And he was there within 45 minutes. Like I said, I'll be out in an hour. I got you. Because I will not. I didn't know this man from Adam. You got no right, bro. You got no right. You let me come here under the understanding that I was in a relationship with somebody else. You didn't want any rent from me, anything, but literally over a week after I'm here, you come at me like that? I'm gone. You say less.
Right.
When Chase's dad got there, when Sean got there, the first thing I did, put coats on my babies and walked them to the car with nothing else in hand. Walked Chase and Gabriel to Sean's car, and I put them in the backseat. When I turned around to go back inside to get my things, I got ready to open the door, and I heard the locking gauge on the door. He had turned the deadbolt on the door. So I knocked, and I'm like, Chris, can I come get my stuff so I can leave? He ain't saying nothing on the other side of that door. And I'm like, Chris, I need my things. And, I'm politely knocking, like, just, Chris, I know you're there. Can you let me in? Come on, Chris. After a couple of minutes, I said, Chris, you realize that my son's father drove all the way from Cleveland, 45 minutes to get here, to rescue his son. And you are not allowing me to get my things out of your house. I want to let you know that this man will get out of his car and kick down your door to get my belongings out of your house. The next thing you know, you hear that door unlock. So I was able to get in and get my stuff.
Okay.
And Sean took me home. Not to my home, to his home. I couldn't go back to my home. There was no gas, no electric.
Right.
My rent was paid up after I left. I just couldn't pay my utilities. That was my aunt's house.
Right.
So even if I had not paid my rent, even when I had no money, people are wondering how I held down a house for 5 years with no job. My aunt and uncle own the house. That's why. That's how. Because sometimes it pays to deal with your family who likes to abuse.
Wow.
That's a different topic for another day. We'll talk of
Yeah,
my family
ain't that the
abuse
truth?
later.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Sean's apartment where he worked and lived, and for 6 months, my children weren't allowed to play, and laugh, and cry, or use the bathroom. We
Wow.
weren't allowed to even really be out of the bedroom. We were not allowed to have our own food. I wasn't allowed to have money. I wasn't allowed to have a car. I wasn't allowed to have sleep or peace of mind.
Mm.
I made a bowl of beef stew one night. Literally took it right out the microwave, took it into the bedroom. It was hot. So I put it up on top of the dresser where Chase could not get to it because Chase and Gabriel were both walking and talking and grabbing things. And I did not want them to get hurt on this hot ass food that came out. And I went in back into the kitchen to grab something to drink for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally going to sit there and feed me, Chase, and Gabriel off this one can of beef stew. I was going to feed them and take a couple bites in between. I was literally starving myself so that my children could eat. Chase grabbed the bowl of beef stew while I was in the kitchen because he was hungry and he didn't want to wait. He was hungry. He grabbed the beef stew and it fell all over the floor. Sean heard the bowl and the spoon hit the floor. So he got up and he ran in the bedroom. And he instantly started flipping out on Chase. And he had my son on the floor, crying. And he is screaming over top of him. And he went to raise his fist and hit my 2-year-old child, 3-year-old baby. Wow. He's a baby. Mm-hmm. Gabriel was only a year old. Chase is a year older than him, so 2 years old. Mm-hmm. Was gonna hit my son. Was gonna hurt my son over an accident. So I ran in that room because I saw him and I jumped in front and I got hit.
Wow. And
I shoved Sean so hard that he fell back. He just got up and he walked away. The next time that he went to go and get physical with one of the children, I was able to get there first. And he didn't hit me, but I shoved this man so hard that he flew across the room, flew backwards over a bed, and landed on the floor, like fell into the door of the closet. Mm-hmm. And he stood up, stood there with his arms down by his side, huffing and puffing, looking like a 2-year-old child who just got told no, and stomped off out the apartment and slammed the door. Okay. After I told him, I literally looked him in his face, right? Because it was my kid that he was going after. And I told him, I'll die for mine. Will you die for yours?
Right.
That's my son. He's screaming at me in my face and telling me, that's my kid too. I said, no, the fuck he's not. That is not your son. DNA does not make you a father. I carried him. I raised him. When he was in the NICU, dying, I was there by his side. I'm the one who went home and breastfed without a fucking baby and took him to the hospital every couple hours to give him life.
Right.
That's my son. You are nothing to him. You're a fucking sperm donor. Don't ever touch my son because I will absolutely die for mine. Are you willing to die for yours?
Right.
I guess he wasn't willing to poke the bear. You know, fuck with Mama Bear. You can do whatever you want to me. Don't touch my kids.
Right.
Don't dare touch my
kids. Absolutely not.
The fifth and final time that Sean hit me was